name is Pauliukonis, and I am the Client Success Associate at WealthForge Securities. Joining me today is Matt Dellorso, co-founder and managing principal of WealthForge Holdings and current Chief Revenue Officer of Altigo. Recently elected to the ADISA Board of Directors, Matt is a Richmond University graduate and holds his Series 63, 24, and 79 licenses. Our discussion will center on Matt's interesting and unique journey through finance and the alt industry. Matt, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, Alex, great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So Matt, in this industry, you're relatively young compared to a lot of the other players. Just curious, how did you get your start?
Yeah, man, feels young, but I've been at it for 12, 13, 14 years. It's been a overnight success, right, as they say. So I actually got into the industry through my eventual co-founder. When I was at school at the University of Richmond, a teacher, one of the professors in my business school, connected me with another student who had an idea to essentially bring social networking and finance online by trying to highlight, enterprising businesses that needed capital to high net worth investors. And we pitched this idea in our student business plan competition and actually got kicked out in the first round of that school competition. Some of our teachers and judges said we were probably intermediating securities rules and regulations that had been on the books since 1933 and 1934. And we said, well, my co-founder's father was a high net worth individual. He and his friends wanted to invest in small businesses and real estate and things that we were kind of finding for him as an outsourced analyst in 2008 when stocks and bonds were in a recession and real estate was in a recession. And at that time, he really wanted to find places to put money that would produce yield because everything else in the broader macroeconomy was going down. And we said, we really want to do this. Why is it that regulation is blocking us? And those teachers and a few phone calls to the SEC told us that, if we started a broker dealer, if we created a registered intermediary, if we got the securities licenses that, I have that you mentioned in the intro, we could actually do this business. We could, match make kind of entrepreneurs and high net worth investors online and actually take a percentage or, have a revenue model from that.
I guess you touched on it a little bit, but could you dive a little bit deeper in what exactly drew you into alternative investments and, what has kept your business focused on that market?
Yeah, so my personal kind of story and background was when I was at the University of Richmond. I, like many other students in business school, had an internship. I did research into annuity sub-accounts, which is mutual funds that larger annuity investors were putting money into. And I had a job, going into senior year and for after graduating from college on spring break, in the last Great Recession, 2008, I actually got laid off before I ever started. And then that year, when I went back for senior year of college, I started a club with other folks in the finance industry because times were tough. And the club was called the Finance Society. And really the kind of founding premise of the Finance Society was, where do you invest in a recession? And the prevailing wisdom in 2008 was, guns and ammo, liquor and alcohol, drugs, and, drugs as in medical devices and medical supply, necessity, previously thought of as recession-resilient industries. And, we kind of fine-tuned that thinking by saying there has to be other stuff in the market that is uncorrelated to, real estate that was underwater at the time, or stocks and bonds that were declining rapidly in value with bank failures and tech company failures. So, we looked for other areas of the market that could be uncorrelated or recession-resilient, like some private credit, that had asset-backed businesses or real estate behind it that was at a discount that could be purchased, but the underlying value is still at a fair price. We found things like litigation finance and potentially art and cars and other areas of short selling and hedge funds and other things that were less impacted by what was going on in the broader macroeconomy. And we kind of knew that could be valuable to larger investors, kind of that analysis, that research. So when I met my co-founder, Fred Bryant, through the professor who actually ran that, helped us start that Finance Society, he was the sponsor of that school club. Fred said, yeah, this makes total sense. My father owns a funeral home. That's a recession-resilient business as well too. There are pockets of areas in the economy that are resilient to change and have good cash flow. We should bring those opportunities to more investors, and we want to do it using the internet. And we believe alternative investments are exactly those things that we were looking for in 2008, and the exact types of business that we're doing here at WealthForge and Altigo. Allowing investors to, diversify from the 60-40 portfolio. I think you've seen it here over the last year or two, and in 2008, the 60-40 portfolio isn't as resilient as it once was or should be, and it could be a whole lot more resilient if you sprinkle in 5, 10, 20% alternatives. So at Altigo and WealthForge, we're solely focused on alternative investments, and kind of that's the way the business kind of started in 2009.